Welcome to the Fearless Happiness Podcast, where we showcase phenomenal individuals who have overcome serious traumas, life obstacles, and challenges to find their own path to fearless happiness. Listen as Max Njist invites guests from all around the world to share their experiences and spread strength, hope, and faith. This is the Fearless Happiness Podcast, and this is Max Njist.
All right, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, everybody. Again, this is Max from the Fearless Happiness Podcast. And again, today I'm coming back with you with another amazing and a special guest, Mike Baker. But what I like to do, Mike, is have you introduce yourself to my audience, like who you are, what it is you do, and then you and I are going to rock and roll.
Well, that sounds great. Thank you for the opportunity to be here today. And honestly, just listening to your podcast over the last couple of weeks have just been so inspiring. So I really appreciate what you're doing for the world. And, like we talked about before the interview started, just the world needs more of this. So my name is Mike Baker. I am some random guy in North Idaho that just wants to connect to the world through music and art. I've grown up in the healthcare space. I've been working in that space for about 25 years. I love healthcare. I know you've got the SUD recovery coach background. My day job, I'm a CEO of a really large community health center in North Idaho. We provide medical, dental, mental health, substance use treatment services. It's incredible to see the power of helping professionals and what they can do for the world. And so I am so lucky to just lead a team that's our job. Our mission at my organization here is to improve life. And so I get to wake up every day and that's what we get to do. I just take on lots of other things. So I like to create music and art and write books and tell stories and connect with people. So that's a little bit about me. I've got 3 kids. They're incredible. I've been married to my wife for about 25 years and she's amazing. And they all just help me be a better person. So I'm excited to be here and can't wait to have a great conversation with you.
Right. I love it, Mike. See, I knew you're a bright light in this world, right? Like you're, and I mean that sincerely, right? Like you and I know, I mean, you see it all, right? Mental health, SUD, people that just need to get better because they're not feeling good, or like even dental, right? Like you can, like something that warmed my heart today, right? I picked up my wife from work and she's telling me about one of her teachers that's helping a student who is, a little on the poor side, right? And their teeth are just horrible, right? Because parents can't afford to go get her the help. So a bunch of the staff are putting their, money together to help this young lady, right? So she can smile again, right? And
yeah,
and it's not to, look at us, right? It's like, and I know, like when I help someone and I see the lights come on, that's like the payment you cannot put a price on, right? Like when
that's what it's all about.
you know what I mean? When they look at you, like, I get what you're telling me. I'm going to do some work because I want to stay sober. Like in my case and what I do, I mean, you can't help but put a big smile on your face. And you know what I mean? And you get to lead people and you see it every day, right? And I'm grateful you're here because people need to know there are awesome people like you out there in the world that are helping people. So, but what I like to do, Mike, is we're going to go back and we're going to talk about some of those challenges and struggles you've gone through that have helped shape who you are and, helped you write books, create music, right? Because today I'm going to live vicariously through you because when it comes to any talent, when it comes to music, I'm all thumbs. So I like to listen to music. But music can be, as can be very therapeutic, whether you're listening to it or creating it. And then you get to do what you do. So let's talk about some of those challenges you have been through that have made you who you are today.
Oh, that sounds great. Thank you. I hope what I share can be meaningful to the listeners of the podcast. Again, listening to some of the guests you've had in the past. Wow. I mean, just so many powerful stories there. So I am very fortunate. I have grown up with just a very blessed life. I have not experienced major trauma. Like I've had my challenges. We've had lots of problems, but I've been fortunate to go through my life with people around me that love me and the space to just be able to grow. I think, when I my biggest challenge as we've been going through this, so I have a couple things. I mean, I have ADD, I have huge imposter syndrome, and then I'm a dad. And my journey through into this music and art space really came from there was a night my daughter has a disease called endometriosis. Just a terrible disease, impacts so many people, but it's this hidden one that not a lot of people know about, and they suffer with it for a really long time. But we had a night where my daughter she was just in so much pain, like, and as a dad, I broke. Like, my job is to give her a great life, and I couldn't take this pain away from her. And so all I could do that night was just hold her hand, and she fell asleep. And after she fell asleep, I left her room, and I just broke down. And, I'm not doing my job as a dad. And I just started kind of playing around on the internet. I found an AI tool called Midjourney, and I started just like dumping my head into this tool, like, help me process some of this stuff. And so I ended up in this spot where I was creating these images of powerful, fierce warriors that in my head, they represent what my daughter, what my wife is, and it ended up being this really cool global connection. But I would create these images and say, listen, this is how we see you. We see you guys as these fierce warriors battling this disease. I know it doesn't feel like you are on those really hard days, but that seeing the light in people's eyes turn on when they saw a piece of art that I created for them, um, knowing that they could look at that on a day that's really hard and see something else that gave them a little bit of extra strength, like that helped me so much. It helped me have purpose and drive that. And so I played with the art for a long time. I sort of think of it as like the pensive in Harry Potter. So like he pulls out the thoughts and put them into the thing. Well, I pull out my thoughts and I create some art with it. And I have a couple here in my office that I created after really hard days. And so that for me has just been so therapeutic. But the gift I hope to give to the world, right, is that I can create these things. I can write a song. My lyrics, I want them to be deep and powerful. I want people to think about them. I've written about mental health and domestic violence and happy days and sad days, but I get comments back where people are like, that lyric really hit me. And then the book I just released, The Optimist Way, it's the same thing. It's a daily reader. So it's like you open it up, just pick any random page, and I hope that the page you open is the page the universe wanted you to see that day, so that you can have some hope and learn how to make some active choices to be optimistic. So that's kind of been my journey through it all. Again, I am so lucky that I have not had to experience major trauma to get me to where I am today. But I know we're all fighting our battles, and so what I'm hoping to do is take that luck that I've had in my life and use it for something good. So
Well, I
yeah,
mean, we had a little talk before the podcast, and I'm going to tell you, everybody, he's using his talents for good. Let me tell you, this man's amazing, right? And so what I heard you say earlier was, you weren't doing your job for your daughter, but you were, right? And look what you've turned, right? That imposter syndrome doesn't just mean like being on a stage, or you know what I mean, in front of people. That could be in front of our own families, like where we don't feel good enough, right? Because being a
yep,
father, right, you want to protect your children as best you can. And that's where I can kind of relate with you, because some of my offspring, let's say, took after dad. And right, they've never seen me drunk or use drugs, but you go through those moments when you're watching them and you're like, I didn't do my job. So I felt you when
hmm,
we were talking about that, right? Like,
yeah,
I tried to shield them from that as much as possible, and surrounded them with people that were no longer doing that, but were great people, doing good things in life. But sometimes that nature over nurture took over, right?
yep,
And
absolutely.
and unfortunately on my side of the family, both sides, it runs deep, the addiction gene, right? And depression, and
Hmm.
so, but look what you did though. Like, I got to tell you, like, that's inspiring to me. You took that pain you were going through and you made such a positive impact on the world by creating the art you did. I guarantee you, your daughter's seeing that stuff and going, "My dad is my hero." You know what I
She's
mean? Like,
pretty amazing. Yep.
and but it's hard, to now me as a father and as a grandfather, I get what you're saying, right? Because we have to show we want to be that, the Superman with the cape, like
Right.
I
Yeah.
got you guys no matter what, right? But life happens, and it looks like even at your biggest struggles, you've taken those opportunities, which motivates me and inspires me. You didn't just fold and say, "Oh, I'm not good enough, forget it," but I'm going to take this, learn from it, and I'm going to help people with it, right? And that's kind of like the hero's journey, right? Like you're a hero in a lot of people's eyes. I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I'm listening to you and I'm thinking, wow, there's a lot of people that don't do that, right? So
For sure. No, I
thank
think
you
it's
for being you is what I'm actually getting.
you're welcome and thank you. And see, now imposter syndrome is just raging in my head, right? But I really appreciate that. No, it's a big deal. And I think that's something that we all have to work on is accepting compliments and finding space in our lives to just see the good in what's happening out there. And I think that was really the focus of my book. The real drive there was just like the world is so crazy and chaotic and mean right now, and it's so easy to choose to have a negative outlook on things. I get it when people are like the world's ending and politics and blah blah all of this stuff. It's just so easy to get wrapped up into that negativity versus what I'm trying to model and trying to promote. And I it started sort of as a character, like somebody's like, "You're too optimistic." I'm like, I've been hearing that my whole life, and I want to find a way to tell a story where it's not toxic positivity, it's really realistic optimism. Like, I understand that the world's hard, but my choice is to be happy as I move through the journey and, find those bright spots. Like, yeah, we're slugging through the mud and it's hard, but man, look at it. There's a beautiful tree out there. The sun's out. I'm with my friends. Like, we're doing this thing. Like, you can find a way to take any challenge and have an optimistic lens on it without being, the sunshine and rainbows sort of fake happiness person, and I think that's what it's really all about.
Right. And people can see that, right? If they think, you're like just phony baloney, right? They're going to spot it. But like you, right? Like, well, let's use, for example, Viktor Frankl, who went through the Holocaust. If you read his
Hmm.
stuff, there's a lot.
Right.
I mean, he was very positive in times where, like, me and you might go, I don't know if I could do that.
Yeah, I had it broken. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yep.
That broke me. And right. And my mom was the same way. God rest her soul, though. She used to tell me stories of when they were growing up because they grew up during World War II in Indonesia when the Japanese
Hmm.
tried to take over, and and they were very poor, right? Because they had to ration their food. Her dad was a prisoner of war of the Japanese, right? So she was kind
Wow.
of like took over as one of the parents, right? Because it's just a crazy time. But I always, when I would listen to her, right? Of course, when I'm younger, mom, you don't know what you're talking about. You know what I mean? Like the world's gonna end because this girl don't like me or whatever, right? And
Exactly, exactly.
but as I get older and I listen to her share her life stories with me, I mean, that's where I get my positivity from and my learned in life experiences, right? Like I know that gratitude will get me through anything, right? And
Mhm.
even though tough times, right? If I can, like you, be grateful, maybe not happy at the time, but like when I go through
Right. Yeah,
something,
yeah.
oh, okay, I'm grateful I went through that event because I learned this, and this is going to help me make me a better person. And then in turn, I can turn around and do that for my family and my community and the people I work with and all that stuff. That's a win-win situation, right?
It is. Yep. And it is. It's an active choice, right? You have to wake up in the morning and say, I'm gonna choose this. Like, and that's sometimes like I have a lyric in my song. It's like I got out of bed today, and that's a win, right? Like some days, man, if you
Right.
can just get out of bed, you can make your bed, you can brush your teeth, like hell yeah, that's a win. We did good today. And, hopefully you just build on that and you get back to a spot where, you're living your best life. And, we just need to recognize everybody's in different places, and the light that we share with people, really, that's the gift that we can give to anybody, right? I can smile at a stranger, I can wave at them. When I say hello, like, I mean it.
Right.
It's funny to see that. I feel like that's the challenge to the world. Like, anyone that's listening to this today, go smile at 5 strangers and watch what happens. Like, you feel better, they feel better. I mean, it's a way to make the world just a little bit brighter, and it's not hard to do.
No, and it sends a ripple effect throughout wherever
Yep.
you're at, right? You started the ripple effect. So once it just
Yep.
kind of builds momentum, right? That's why I like that uh I think it's a TED talk or a YouTube where that Navy SEAL, he's an admiral, and he says, if you make your
Oh
bed
yeah.
in the morning,
Yep.
you've accomplished the first goal of the day. And how basically what he says is like, Hannah, how can you not be like, it's upward and onward, right? Like you're
Exactly. Exactly.
it's a great
That's
start
such
to
a
your
great one.
day.
Yeah. Everybody needs to go watch that one too.
Right, but so let's, as a father, as a CEO of a workplace, and where you manage and work with lots of different personalities, right? Because I'm looking at you, right? Because you step into work and everyone's like, there's Mike, right? Because you're going to get the ones that complain all the time, you're going to get the ones that say hi, and just all the different. How do you go through your day, right, when you're bombarded with so many things, right? Like, give the audience an idea of how you don't let, say, all those little things mess up your days, so that you can be most effective and at your best throughout the day.
Oh, I love that. Thanks for that question. I'll start it by saying, I'm like everybody. I have my bad days, right? But as a leader, as a CEO, I have 2 jobs. I need to be clear about where we're going, and I need to be present and listen to my teams. I need to understand what's going on. And so, I'm really trying to think of that every time I'm interacting with people within the organization, in the community. How do I model this kind of positivity toward the work? It's really easy. Like, the work we do is so fulfilling, right? We're helping people. So that's a cool story anyway. But then, we all come to work and we see all of the challenges.
Right.
People have bad days. Like, I'm carrying in whatever challenges I'm having in my head, and then people are. And so it's like you have to create this space where it's safe. But then, just keep directing people back toward why we're here, right? We're here to improve life. And if I'm having a bad day and I treat a patient, the way that we wouldn't want to treat them, well, then that impacts their day. And, like, did we make their life better? No, we actually made it worse. And so I try to be really intentional in my interactions with the teams, and really just keep pushing people toward that better future state, because that's what leaders do. It's leading people with clarity toward a future state that's
Right.
so worthy that we're all going to sacrifice for that. And that's just such a powerful way to think about it as leadership. And for me, the optimist, I think people want to follow positive leaders. There are people that gravitate toward negative leaders, but man, that's not my style.
Right. Well, that's a huge reason. Like I always say, great companies always have not only a mission statement, but a vision statement, right? So
Hmm.
that, like, the leadership can always direct us to this is why we're
Right.
here. Check out the mission statement. This is why, or look at the vision statement, right? This is where we want to go. And right. And it is, if you think about it, when you read that, it kind of grounds you and you go, oh, that's why we're here. Like if you're having a bad day, you could go, oh,
Absolutely.
that's why our boss might put that up there, right? To keep us going in the right direction, or, and I love it, right? Because there's so many different directions that we can go in this world, right? If we let all this, I like to call it extra noise, go on, and we,
Yeah.
right, that, or let's put it this way, those distractions that want to take us away from, like what you said earlier, like having purpose. Like I always say, we have to live in purpose, on purpose, and then we become
Yeah.
unstoppable. And I've seen that from guys like you, from other men that I look up to. When they're focused on helping others and staying right true to what they want their vision to be or their company to go, like they're unstoppable. And right, they don't have to pretend to be positive. It emanates from them. Like you, like when I got on here with Mike, everybody had a big smile on his face, and I'm like, yes, it's going to be a great conversation. I already know it, right? But let's talk about your book. I know you've talked about a little bit your daughter, but what was some of the other things, let's say the impetus to have you write this book? Because when you said the optimist, what was the optimist?
The Optimist Way. Yep.
Optimist Way. I thought of Optimus Prime, right? And he's
There
always,
you go. I know exactly. He's always positive. That's right.
and he's always talking about like, basically his message is like, we're here to help humankind and everything on, right, to become better, whether it's better machines or better people, right?
I think it's all coming in that way either way. I love that. I love that you thought that. Like, there's no better example than Optimus Prime. So,
so talk about your book and what started that motion in the writing.
Perfect. Yeah. I mean, I've wanted to write a book for a long time. I feel like I just, there's lots of stories to tell. This one in particular, like, we were going through a really hard time as a company, and then it was just, it was North Idaho gets dark during the winter time. So it was just like this, it was a really heavy time for me. And it just sort of started evolving out of sort of me processing stuff. And, I think the trigger really was somebody saying, "Hey, Mike, you're too optimistic." And it was one of those like, I'm so tired of hearing that. Like, I get it, but how do I explain this so that it's not seen as a character defect, that it's something that, people really understand? And so that's really how I started. It was like, how do I tell this story? And then, just try to create a structure where it was like, there's 6 sections within the book, and each of them talk about different aspects of optimism, how to get it, how to maintain it, what do you do with it? And then for me, I was like, it's really cool to tie. So each section ends, and there's a link in the digital version and a QR code in the book, but you scan that code, and then it takes you to a song that I wrote that talks about that section. And so, it's for me, it was creative. So I have art in the book, I have, all the stories in the book, and then it takes you out, and there's an album that you can listen to. And so, they're each titled the section for the book. And then, so there's deep lyrics in there. So what I was hoping to accomplish is like, okay, you finish the section, you read it, and then the lyrics are in there. And so you can just take a minute and pause, and then you have that whole sensory experience of like reading and then art and then music, sort of tying it all together. So I feel like that was a powerful combination, a way to tie things in that I hadn't seen before. And so I thought it was just a really fun way to connect all of the pieces of my creative brain. And so it's been a lot of fun. The reaction's just been amazing. I love it when I get comments back from people like, "Hey, I read a passage today, and that really made sense," or, "Boy, I was listening to the song The Optimist Way, and it hit me this way." And it was just, it's so powerful to see. And that's why in my introduction, I'm like, I'm just some random guy from North Idaho, right? But like, I'm trying to make the world better somehow, and here's a way that I can reach out to people that I never would have met before, and I love that.
Well, look what you've done. You've made it totally interactive. Not only do you get to read it, you get to hear it through your music. I mean, that's pretty amazing if you ask me. Like,
it's fun. It's fun. It's a really cool concept. So yeah.
Right.
And it's all, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, you're not the only one that's been called like too positive a lot of the times.
Yeah.
Like, I got sober, and everybody so my mentor, God rest his soul, right? That's why he calls me he coined the phrase, "You're the fearless happiness ninja." He goes, "Every time I see you, you're smiling." And I go, well,
I love it.
I've had many years of not smiling, right? And like you, I understand it. Like, I can be in a dark spot, but understand that I can get out of it if I start just changing the way I think about it. Right. If I want to stay in it, of course, I'm going to just go to those dark places, but I've already experienced them. So my brain likes to go and remember that. And then you go, oh yeah, never mind.
Right.
I'm coming back out, right? So, and I
Yeah.
think
When
guys
it's
like
such a
you and
learned
I,
response.
exactly, and that's
Yeah.
kind of what, I hate to say it, but like the media commercials, right? Like, oh, you're feeling that
Hmm.
because they want you to take a pill. We don't need a pill to be
Right.
optimistic, right? Like yes, some people. I'm not a doctor, everybody,
Oh
but
no, yeah, totally get it. Yeah.
get what I'm saying. Some people do
Yep.
have
Yep.
imbalances in the brain chemistry, and they need the help. But for us average, people out here, not average, I think we're all extraordinary. All it does is we just need to change the way we think about ourselves and in the world. And right, like, so that's why I'm a big proponent of doing a gratitude journal every day, right? Because
Hmm.
one, it's backed by neuroscience, and it says if you put something positive in your brain first thing in the morning and it's the last thing you do at night, you'll actually build new neural pathways that make you see things in a more positive light, like yourself, others, the world, right? And you can't help but be grateful. And I do that with all my
Yep.
clients, right? And do that. Half of them, I don't want to do that, right? Like I'm asking them to do something very hard, but I go, just try it, right?
You're
I
like,
mean,
trust me, just trust me. I promise this has value.
yeah,
Yep.
exactly. I go, I'm not asking you to take another pill or do this or that. I
Yeah.
go, this is a different type of medicine, is what I try to explain to them. Some of them get it, some of them don't, but I love it, right? You write a book that you could pick it up. I can just open it and go, oh, dang, I'm supposed to read this page today, right? And this, talk about that, like talk about some of those chapters in your book, and you know what I mean. I want so the audience understands like what they're looking
Yeah.
forward to when they go get your book, because I know I will be
Yeah.
getting.
So I was inspired. So this part of it sort of started for me. There's two authors out there. There's Brianna Wiest and Zana Keithley, and they're incredible. And so my friends and I, we'd been reading their books back and forth, and like you'd wake up to a text from one of the friends, and it was a screenshot of a page in the book, and it was just like, "Did you realize this is exactly what I needed today?" Right? I mean, there was just like, wow. I mean, some days you're just like, there is some crazy voodoo magic happening. Like, how did this book know that that's what I needed to hear today? And so it was so much fun. And so that's how I wanted to structure the book, was just, kind of tell some stories. So each one, I mean, so it's about 280 pages in the book, but it's usually it's a page or so for every day, and you can, pick any page you want. You don't have to read it in order. But there's just, there's a thought, and then, it's sort of I walk through it for people. So sort of explaining, okay, here's the importance. There's a section in there. It's all about just like being present and remembering that you just need to pause. So it'll talk about, listen, today it's just all about remembering to pause. And here's the importance of just taking a couple extra breaths before we react to something, right? Somebody could walk into my office and they can be having the worst day, and they're just like, here's the challenge of the day. And if I just jump onto that energy, right? We both now have lit our hair on fire, and we're like, rah! And we don't necessarily solve problems, versus like, okay, wow, you shared a lot with me. I'm going to just take a second and digest all of that. And then let's
Right,
come up with this better strategy to go out and deal with it, right? It allows our brains, and you talk about the neuroscience, right? It allows our brains to process and reset, and then we can come at a problem with a better framework to deal with it. Instead of fight or flight mode, we're in calm, cool, collected mode. And it makes so much sense when you pause and then you kind of think through a problem, instead of it. Like, I know my first reaction usually is not the best one,
right,
and I'm like, that was totally the wrong thing to say at that moment. So pause, and take that space. So then I tell stories in there about like how, so, my mom, she was amazing, and we lost her to early onset Alzheimer's. And so I talk about the things that my mom taught us, and she is the one I credit. Her and my dad, they just such incredible people. And so I have stories about each of them, and how they taught me to be optimistic. I talk about each of my kids in there, and my friends that I grew up with. And so I try to, there's stories about me and my life and how that got me to where I'm at. And then there's just really good advice, so that every day, there's something in there that I think, if we just practice one thing a day, and make a decision to be optimistic, have a better outlook on life, I think that's going to lead us to a better outcome. And so I hope this is a good tool for that.
I believe it will be from what I'm hearing. So, you know what I mean? Like we can't go wrong if we're bringing positivity into the world, right? Like you said, realistic positivity.
Yeah.
Um, right. And I like that, right? You can, because we are taught, right? We have that, what do they call it? The reticulated activating system, right? Which is
Hmm.
our reptilian part of our brain, which is
Right.
only right the fight or flight, right?
Hmm.
And it's either right react or run. And but if we
Yep.
can slow down enough, and I'm with you on this 100%, right? To pause, right? So there was something I learned in my recovery, which in the big book of AA, right? And I'm not pushing this to anybody.
Yeah.
There's a part that says we pause when agitated, right? Because when I'm
100%.
early on, I was 0 to 100 in like 3 seconds, right? And people were like, "Whoa, Max, you need to slow down," right?
Yeah.
What I've learned from men like you and others like you, right, is slow down and listen to not just respond, but to understand. And if we understand where the other person's coming from, we can have a better response, right? And we can make this world better one person at a time, right? Because we're not flying off the handle, or we're not accusing, or we're not doing this or that, right? We can actually have an awesome conversation like you and I are having today, right? Which I'm totally thankful for. But it sounds like it's a great tool for everyday living. And thank you for bringing that to the world, Mike.
Yeah. Oh, yep. You're welcome. And I'll make sure you get a copy so you can have it and, just kind of share it with people around you, right? I mean, that for me, like it's fun to sell a book and, have that thing going, but it's never about the sales part. For me, it's like, how do I get this in front of more people so that
Right.
like I just I know that the world can be a better place, and I have a very small circle of influence. And here's for me, like through the music and art and the connections I've made through that, it's like wow, I connected with somebody in Australia or in Mexico or I mean, it's just like it's so cool to think that this little I don't know, I'm not that smart. So it's just like this little brain of mine processed something, made something, and then it reached out all across the globe and somebody read it and their life was better and then they wrote me and told me about it. It's like that you ask about what makes me happy. Like that's what makes me happy. Like watching those connections being made and just being present in people's lives, right? Like I don't need to do that, but it just makes me so happy to feel like I have this global connection with people that I somehow made a difference. Like that fills my soul. It makes me so happy, and that's a part of it. So I always tell people like if you can't afford the book, send me a message and I'll give you a copy of the book. Like that is not what this is about. Like it's fun,
I,
at some point it's nice to cover some of the costs of it, but it's like that is not for me, that's not the point of it. Like I want to get this in front of people and it's my first run, it's my first book. I have already learned a million lessons and I have a couple others cooking in my head and I hope that this can be part of something that humans across the globe connect with at some point and we
absolutely.
small way make the world a little bit better, just like your podcast. Like it helps us all connect and tell stories. And how do you have, like, when you're having a bad day and you tune into something like your podcast and listen to the things that your guests have gone through? It, it's for me, like, I've done a couple Ironman races, and like the most inspiring time for me at the Ironman race is 11 o'clock to midnight, which is the very end of the race. And it's the 85-year-old guy that's done 100 Ironmans or the guy with one leg that's on crutches. I mean, it's like they are the most inspiring people. And then you look at it and go, I have no excuse. Like, why am I not doing? Why am
Oh,
I not
I
doing this? Right? Like, you can find it. It's so cool and so powerful. Like, we're humans are such amazing creatures, and we're so complex, and we can be terrible or we can be amazing. And that's the part where like let's be more amazing. I like how you think of your human interactions, right? It's like everybody's amazing, and just have more of that. So I
you
love
know
it.
I agree with you 100%. Like, so from the bottom of my heart, that definitely this is an honor for me to have you here, right? Like, I'm spoiled. Like, you could call it the universe, Buddhism. I call it God, but he spoils me with the guests that he has been I say providing me and putting in front of me, right? So, and you're no exception. Like, awesome. This has been an amazing time, Mike, and I knew it would be. Right. And you're not the only one with imposter syndrome, because trust me, when I'm reading your bio, your
Well, I think we
background,
all have it.
right? You know what I mean? I'm like, oh my God, I got an author and a CEO coming on my podcast. Okay, what excuse can I give him? Because I don't feel good, because I don't know what I'm right. But then I just tell myself, suck it up, buttercup, have fun with it. That's why you're
Yep.
here. That's why, right. And I thank God for my mentor who pushed me. Like, so when I was putting together my private practice and trying to get that all together, right? And he was helping me, coaching me. Because we belonged to a group at the time, right? Where writing a book and doing a podcast were like the thing to do, right? So in passing, right, I kind of did this, like, I'm going to do a podcast. And he was like, what? I go, yeah, I'm going to do a podcast. Okay. And I thought I said it quick enough where he would forget. Well, he never forgot. Right. And
That's so
he
cool.
ended up, being, well, my first guest. But it was one of those, I was procrastinating. I was giving him so many excuses. And it was right before he passed. He's like, hey, how's that podcast coming, Max? And Mike, let me tell you, this gentleman never cussed, never. And I've told this story, but he was like, effing Max, perfect doesn't mean done. Just do it.
Yep.
And I was
Just
like,
do it.
I remember looking at him across the Zoom, and I go, okay, you're my first guest. And he goes, perfect. Right. And here I am. I just released episode 200 that you and I were talking about, like, who would have thought?
Cool. Yeah.
Right? Who would have thought? Right. And I'm here today with another amazing guest, everybody. And like, I feel like I'm being spoiled when I get to do this. So, thank you for your amazing story and for what you do, because I'm telling you, you're inspiring me. And I know you're inspiring the audience, right? Because we need a little bit more positivity in the world, because if we don't, right, that I like to call, like you have the force or the dark side, right? Dark side will take over.
Star Wars is the best. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's funny because I always tease and I talk about a lot, right? My sponsor, he's been my sponsor for almost 22 years, right? And he's this short Japanese guy. I call him my Yoda, right? And I always tease.
I love it.
Daryl, I'm going to walk in your office or your house one day, and you're going to be like in the middle of the room floating with this green aura telling me do or do not, or, use the force, Max. And I go, I'm going to catch you one day, because I know you're Yoda, like, in disguise, and he'll laugh at me. But that man is, you remind me a lot of him. He's just so humble, and he's very, very intelligent, and just very caring, and wants the best for everybody around him. It doesn't matter if you're a stranger or family, like, he's going to treat you the same. And that's, what I'm getting from you, Mike. So thank you for letting me interview you today, and you being here, but you're not done, right? So we're going to talk about my first question that I do remember, because we were teasing about that earlier. Fearless. What does fearless mean to you, Mike? And how does that show up in your life on a daily basis?
I love it. And I love that you asked this question, because it's so fun to listen to how everybody processes that and their response to it, right? So, like, for me, it's like, being fearless doesn't mean that you're not afraid. I think that's really important. Like, there's so many people that are so afraid, and the world shuts down. Like, I walk like almost every day, like there's some fear that's floating through my thing, but it means you're going to keep going anyway. Like, being fearless means that no matter what's going to happen, like, my knees are shaking, my voice is cracking, my heart's just like, but
right.
I take that step anyway. And you kind of nailed it at the start of this, where you were talking about the imposter syndrome piece. It's like, we can let that fear keep us. We can let the imposter syndrome get in our way, but we can also, like, take that step. Even though we're afraid, we're going to step up and do the hard thing. We're going to love people when it'd be safer to stay guarded. We're going to be honest about hard things. Like, we're going to do that. So to me, like, being fearless, again, it's not that we're not afraid, but being fearless means that we're willing to take that next step and try that next thing. So I love that question. I've asked that to my kids a couple times since, since I filled it out on your form. And it's like, that's such a great question.
Right. I love it too, because I thought about it, right? Like my friend, the second guest, and he came back, but one of my great friends, he said, Max, are we truly going to be fearless? He goes, nope. He goes, the courage comes from doing it anyway when you're scared shitless,
Hmm.
excuse my language, right? And you do it
Yeah, it's
anyway,
great.
right?
Yeah. Yep.
Because that's where the growth happens, right? Getting like I always bring them up. David, one of these days you'll be on my podcast. I know you will. But David Goggins always says, right? Get comfortable being uncomfortable. That's where
Hmm.
the growth happens, right? And that's where I think I thought of the fearless and asking that question, because I love hearing, there's so many varied answers, but it all comes back to the same thing. And I love it. So thank you for that. So the next
Yeah, of
question, as
course.
you can see, I put a Y in it. Knowing I put a Y in
Yeah.
happiness, what does happiness mean to you, Mike? And how does that show up in your life on a daily basis?
Yeah. For me, I think we talked about it a little bit in this discussion, this conversation we've been having, but for me, like happiness just shows up in those little moments. I am happy when I'm connected with the people around me. It's sitting around the dinner table. I'm a hockey guy, so I play goalie. Like we had a really hard weekend up in North Idaho this last weekend, and one of the firefighters that passed away was a hockey guy, and like so, but we played hockey that night, and we did it. We had some whiskey and we did a toast, and it was like we were connected that night. And so just happiness for me, like it's when I feel connected to the people I love and the purpose behind what I'm doing. And so for me, that's what happiness looks like in my world.
I love it. I love it. Well, this has been an amazing time, Mike. I mean, we could go probably for hours because I got tons of questions. But what I want to ask you next, though, is if people want to get a hold of your book, they want to get a hold of you to ask you questions and just pick your brain, or, I don't know if you do any coaching or anything like that on the side, but people really like what you say and feel what you do. How do they get a hold of you?
Yeah, so I'm on all the social media platforms. You Mike the Optimist is one of them. That's my main page. The Optimist Way is another Instagram page. Just search me now. There's a really cool Mike Baker that's an ex-CIA agent. That guy's amazing, and I want to be that guy, but I'm not that guy. So
Right.
you'll see this goofy mug on anything that's out there. My website's just mikebakerhq.com. Please reach out. Like I would love to connect with anybody out there that just wants to chat. My book's available on Amazon. If you can't afford it, send me a message and I'll give you a code to get a free book. Like whatever we can do to just connect. That's what I want to do is connect the world through music and art. And that's what makes me happy is creating those connections out there. So I hope people reach out. I really do. It makes me so happy.
I love it. Well, audience, you heard you have been given no excuse to reach out to Mike, even if it's just to say hello. He's put it out there. So take him up on it. I mean, if you loved what I've loved so far in this conversation, I hope you carried on with him and ask him more questions. He's an amazing
Yeah.
human being. So thank you for being here.
Thank
You're not quite off the
No,
hook to
you're
start,
good. You're good.
right? I get to ask you my favorite question that I ask of all my guests, and it goes like this. So, Mike, what is the one piece of advice you could give my audience to help them grow as human beings and become better people?
I love it. So I think we're going to go back to Star Wars a little bit for this one, or something Optimus Prime would say, right?
I love it.
Forget about yourself, and think about other people. Because as soon as we stop worrying about ourselves and our own problems, we realize that I have a very blessed life, and I've had challenges, right? But I listen to the stories that other people have, and I get these opportunities to now serve, and our lives always get better when we think about other people first. And there's just that path there. So it's like, it, if everybody would just wake up in the morning and say, "Yep, I've got my own stuff." But I know that there's somebody out there that needs my positivity today, and I'm going to go share it. Your life will be so full and so rich and so blessed. You'll look back on it and go, I led an amazing life and I made a difference. And so I hope that makes sense.
Absolutely. Well, like I said, Mike, this has been such an amazing time. Thank you so much for being here and spending this time with me. I really appreciate it. I got so much out of our conversation. But you heard him, everyone. If Mike made you think, if Mike taught you something, if Mike made you smile, and my famous, if Mike made you go, I like that. Please go to iTunes and leave a 5-star review so more people can find the podcast. And again, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in this world. This is Max from the Fearless Happiness Podcast. Until next time.
Are you tired of being weighed down by life's traumas and struggles? Join the Fearless Happiness lifestyle and let us guide you toward a brighter future. Explore our past podcast episodes and get a copy of the Fearless Happiness book to ignite your inner strength. If you or someone you love is battling addiction or facing challenges related to unresolved trauma, know that we are here for you. Visit maxnijst.org, maxnijst.org, and take the first steps toward finding your fearless happiness. Thank you for listening. This has been a production of Fearless Happiness.